Hey there guys, this is Chef Chris, and today we are making ribeye steak served with a side of potatoes fondant and some spicy broccoli. Alright, so let's get started. We're going to start off by making some herb butter that I'm going to top off the steak with. So I ran out to the garden, had some beautiful purple basil, some green basil. I'm going to cut off a couple of sprigs of rosemary and wash them and set those aside. In a bowl, I have a stick of butter here. I'm using salted butter. You can use unsalted and season it yourself, no problem. And we're going to get those basils and we're going to chiffonade them. Now that basically means we're going to cut them into strips. I rolled the basil, I layered them on top, rolled them into a nice cigar shape, and we're going to slice those up. In the butter, I added 2 cloves of garlic here that I had in the crusher. We're going to go ahead and toss in that basil that we cut into strips, give it a nice stir, and we're going to put that into saran wrap to create a nice little circle and set that in the fridge to stiffen up. You don't have to use basil like I use in my butter. You can use parsley, you can use cilantro, maybe even onion chives. Anything would be great in this. Some garlic would be beautiful. Alright, so we're going to create these potatoes fondants here. As you saw, I peeled them up and I threw them some water just to stop them from oxidizing. Potatoes fondant really just means cooked in its own juice. I'm going to use chicken broth to cook mine in. You can use a vegetable broth. That would be great to keep it all vegetarian with the potatoes and the broccoli. But whatever you like. Alright, so I'm using a cookie cutter here to create these nice little round circles. You can, if you don't have one, I'm going to show you just a minute how to create a square shape or a triangle, whatever you like. I'm using the circle cookie cutter. Once I've ran those through the cutter, I'm going to cut off the edges just to create a nice little even, perfect, straight circle cylinder here. Now, if you don't have one, I grabbed a potato, I cut it in half. I'm just going to keep on cutting the edges to create a square, or I guess a rectangle is what it would be. And go ahead and slice them up till you got this perfectly good square shape. And there you go. Just happy with that. Alright, now with these circle ones, we're going to grab a paring knife here. And we are going to basically create a cylinder, a barrel. It's going to look like a barrel on top. So we're going to grab the paring knife, go ahead and slice it slowly. You don't want to have the edges. I'm just I'm cleaning up all the edges, making sure I got that perfect round barrel shaped look. And when you are done, you're going to have a perfect potato that looks like a barrel. And there we go. Alright, now in a saute pan, I have about a tablespoon or 2 of butter that we are going to sear off these potatoes with. I got it on about medium heat, and I'm going to cook them on medium heat as well. We're going to place those potatoes presentation side down, of course. Just like everything with steak, chicken, you want to put the presentation side down first. And about maybe a minute or 2 later, I've got this perfect sear, this nice little crust on top, golden brown. Looks beautiful. Just take a look at them every couple of minutes. Make sure they're not getting too crispy. As you can see, that one did on the other side. But that's okay. That's not the one I'm going to use. In this bowl, I'm going to put some chicken broth here. Now, you want to put the chicken broth to about halfway on the potatoes, okay? You don't want to cover them because you want the potatoes to still be crispy on top. So go ahead and put that chicken broth to about halfway. I added some rosemary here. I should have probably tossed in some garlic to flavor. It's going to infuse and just flavor that potato. It's going to be delicious. Get so creamy on the inside, crispy on the outside. Of course, we're going to season everything with some salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. And we're going to top that and cover it and let that simmer on medium heat for about 15 to 20 minutes until you've got this beautiful, creamy, nice, soft inside. As you can tell, the chicken stock has reduced in the amount, and it's intensified greatly. So we don't want to throw that away. We want to use it for our broccoli. Toss in that broccoli. I zested a lemon, squeeze a lemon juice to create that vibrant, fresh taste. And we're going to season it with some crushed red pepper here. Didn't decide to use cayenne in this one. I didn't want to change the color of the broccoli, so I kept it with a crushed red pepper. Of course, we're going to season everything with some salt and some fresh cracked black pepper. And we're going to cover that and simmer that for 6 minutes. And there we are. And when those 6 minutes are up, you got this beautiful, vibrant broccoli. It's gorgeous. All right, I'm going to set those aside as well. And we're going to start off with the steak. Now, I've got a ribeye steak here I'm using. You can use T-bone, of course. I don't have to tell you, sirloin. But I got a ribeye from Albertsons. So, of course, we're going to season everything generously with some salt and some fresh cracked black pepper again. And the big thing here, you want to make sure your steaks are at room temperature. You never want to cook a cold steak. Otherwise, the top is going to be top's going to be cooked and the inside is going to be cold and raw. You just don't want that. So make sure your steaks are at room temperature. In a saute pan, again, we're going to add a little bit of extra virgin olive oil here. Place that steak down. I have the heat here on about medium-high heat. I cooked mine for 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes actually, each side to create a nice, perfect medium, okay? To that, I threw in a clove of actually a sprig of the rosemary. I got 3 tablespoons of butter that I tossed into the saute pan and 2 cloves of garlic. I was going to grill my steak, but I decided to show you guys a little technique that we use in the restaurant business, which is basting. It just creates so much flavor. I got that butter. You're just going to scoop on the other 2.5 minutes while the other side is cooking. You're just going to continue getting the spoons, a spoonful of butter, and basting this steak. Just trying to infuse it with that butter. That rosemary is just going to seep right into the steak. The garlic's just going to infuse it as well. It's going to be beautiful. So once those 2.5 minutes were up, we're going to set that steak on the side to rest. Very important. You want all your meats to rest. If I cut this steak right now, all that juice, all that flavor is just going to come out the steak, and that's something you don't want. And while that was resting, I went ahead and grabbed the butter that was in the fridge hardening up. I went ahead and sliced it up to place it right on top of there. And when we were done, I like to keep my rosemary on top. You don't want to eat it. It's very harsh. But I like to more lick the rosemary and suck on it. It's just flavorful. And as you can tell, look at that steak. It is beautiful. Nice medium. So sorry about my hand. Right in the way. I need to practice more on that. But that potatoes come out so creamy, crispy on top. That broccoli is so lemony, zesty. It was delicious. Well, guys, that was my steak with fondant potatoes and broccoli. If there's anything you guys would like to learn how to make, let me know. And as always, hope you guys enjoy.